I do know you.
All right then.
Good afternoon. My name's Frank Avila. I'm the attorney for Natasha Dunn, who's one of the plaintiffs. Dr. Jones is one of the plaintiffs, and the South Shore neighbors. The first thing that this lawsuit is about is for South Shore High School to reopen as a high school for this community.
Yes.
And if for some reason that was not possible, which is what they want, not what I want, not what some other community wants, what this community wants, is it for it to be reopened for community purposes.
That's right.
When Rahm Emanuel was mayor, 80% of the school closings were in African American areas.
Right.
And although he will argue that it was because of a decrease in African American
That's a lie.
population,
That's right.
which may be partially true, he did not care about the communities and what happened in them, and the resources were taken out. This community has a food desert. It's higher in crime than average of other parts of the city. And by the way, somebody came on and attacked me when we were in a press conference last time and said, oh, you're saying the people in back here are criminals. No, that's not what I'm saying. Although some people are criminals who reformed their lives, very few, and they said, now we are reformed our lives and we are ex-convicts. But I'm not saying the people in back of me are criminals. What I'm saying is they recognize that some of them live in higher crime areas. I'm not sure why people cannot understand that nuance, why they can't understand the distinction, and they want to divide people and not have any nuance, any complexity, and simplify the issues. So the first thing, and I'm going to repeat it, is to turn this school back into a school, a high school for this community, so people don't have to travel 15 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, and they can stay here. And for this building to be for the community, which was promised to them, a commitment, an oral contract, a contract with this community. The second thing is, and this community and these plaintiffs also care about the migrants themselves. And this immigration industrial complex and these poverty pimps don't care. Because after the state has spent $500 million, $350 million a quarter, the city of Chicago has allocated or spent $100 million, first $30 million, then $51 million, and now $20 million for a security company. You should not have people sleeping in tents outside when winter is coming. Winter is coming. You should not have people sleeping on police room floors when you've spent $600 million. That's crazy. I could have put them in the Drake, the Peninsula, the Ritz-Carlton, and the Palmer House, saved the taxpayer dollars 75%, spent 25% of that, give myself $1 million salary, all my friends could have got salaries and fed them, and everybody would be fine. This is an outrageous amount of money, and there needs to be an audit now. There needs to be an audit.
You just said something.
Now, moreover, there also needs to be a commensurate investment into long-term residents, including immigrants, this community, African American communities, low-income communities, and communities that have been deprived of resources, where there's food deserts and crime and lack of schools and lack of opportunities, including South Shore, including the West Side. My son boxes at Taylor Park, which they're going to want to take over and in that program. In Petrowski Park, which is in Little Village, which is heavily Mexican-American community, Hispanic, mostly Mexican, with a good amount of undocumented, they've ended programs for children. I've gotten calls from parents of autistic adults who are now aged out of the school system, and they've ended their programs. This is not residents versus migrants or citizens versus migrants. This is about putting migrants in residential housing. McCormick Center at 3,000 beds was actually for a quasi-residential. You don't put them in tents outside in Chicago winters. You don't put them on floors of police stations. Moreover, one of the reasons why some places have high crime, one, it's inhumane for people to live on floors of police stations where you don't have showers or sanitation, where you have people coming in and out, or germs, where you don't have proper bathrooms, etc. It's bad for the police officers who are living in unsanitary conditions, unsafe conditions that are not OSHA. OSHA should come in and shut that down. And how can we have public security and safety and police properly preventing crime or resolving crime and having a police presence when now they're residential housing.
Yep. That's right.
Somebody is making money off of this.
That's it.
A lot of money.
Show us the money.
And there needs to be an audit. This community needs to be protected. Other communities need to be protected. This is not black versus Hispanic. This is not immigrant versus citizen. This is about what's doing right. This is about what's being humane and being sensible and fiscally responsible. And this is about not ignoring communities. Now, we filed a lawsuit back in May, and it did temporarily stop. The city did not put any migrants into South Shore School. And maybe we thought we won. But now there's buses and buses coming in, and we had information that they were going to now put people here, and we decided to refile it, make it better, amend the complaint, refile a new suit that was more comprehensive, and also address some of the concerns and some of the responses and answers that people had. So, and I know some of you had questions on that. So we've sent the lawsuit out. I can send you all copies today too after this. And the a new lawsuit has been filed. And we may add other communities to this lawsuit. We haven't decided yet. The priority for this lawsuit for me as a lawyer is my clients and the South Shore neighbors and South Shore High School. However, this is a broader issue, both to help the migrants and to help other communities. People should not be living in parks and city colleges and schools. Benito Juarez in Pilsen, which was an Hispanic community until it was gentrified, is now they want to put people there. Now, should adults be with high school students? Should we take out gyms so people cannot have programs in sports? This doesn't make any sense. This is illogical, it's stupid, it's bad policy, it's bad decision making.
And they're undocumented. Where's the leaders?
And also, it's a federal issue. It's a federal issue. The federal government needs to fund it, and the federal government needs to take all these migrants, vet them properly, and make sure there's standards, and then disperse them throughout the 300 or so municipalities, as well as suburban, rural, small town areas throughout the United States. Not just New York City and Chicago. Not just New York City and Chicago.
Right? They get that. Right? You know about the tourists? The tourists, what they do to Native Americans? They're doing the same thing again. They're doing the same thing again, bro. They're illegal. Right? They're illegal. Right now, Brandon Johnson and the Democrats are criminals. They're locking up guys from smuggling drugs and trafficking people across the thing. The bad government's doing it. Right now.
That's right. Right.
We're going to sue these bosses. We're going to sue these Democrats as civilians because they're supposed to be agents representing the people they voted for. They're agents. I'm a sports agent. If I don't have represent my clients, they fire me.
Yeah.
It's time to fire. Don't let the Democrats have that stupid convention here next year.
That's it.
Enough's enough. All I see, right, is the citizens of Chicago marching to the gas chamber. Ever since these scumbags came across the border. Ever since these European scumbags came across the border.
Come on with it. Thank you. Thank you for that. I want to bring this back because we're saying a lot, right? Okay, but to be clear again, he's right. There's a lot that's happened. A lot of that anger and outrage that you see is warranted, right? I mean, we've been through so much in our communities that when we see stuff like this is traumatic for us. This is traumatic for the people in our community. So we want to have Jay come up real quick, and then we're going to have someone from Woodlawn speak, and then we're going to ask questions. Go ahead.